Hello, and welcome to another episode of 10,000 Hours and Counting, the podcast that offers support for the spiritual path. So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of space holding. Now, if you're a professional healer or spiritual practitioner, this may be something that you are aware of and that you are already doing. But the truth of it is, no matter if you're a spiritual person, you believe in other things other than just what the five senses are. You know that you've got a soul, you're a human being walking around with this spiritual connection to divine energy. Then, no matter what your vocation, your job is, you will be holding space for those who have less of an awareness of that. It's really it's a beautiful thing to do, especially when you're consciously offering it. It's a very sacred and obviously ancient, I want to say art, but really just, an art because it's a way of service to the divine, and it offers people something. It's a little bit like offering people the space for them to be safe enough to feel held by energy, to feel held enough and safe enough to express their truth. And in the expression of that truth, to also get their own aha moments. This is the most empowering you can give someone, the most empowerment. When you allow them the space to feel into what's happening for them, and you have a space of non-judgment and not even being attached to outcomes. You don't want to be holding the space so that the person feels that something is expected of them. It's just whatever happens in the moment, but you can allow that person almost to receive your energy as a mirror where they can see some of their truth. So space holding, in a way, I would say it's something that would probably come quite naturally to you as something that you know that you're good at or you find you're good at. You might be one of those people, I know as I am, where over the years, people are attracted to your energy and they will come and tell you a bit of their story, or want to share some of their troubles with you. And this doesn't always have to be something that is a burden. Quite often it can be a fair and honest energy exchange, so long as you yourself have a strong understanding of where your own boundaries are and where the other person's energy is. But sometimes it's a service to the divine, your soul almost is happy to perform, of giving someone that space. And you will know when you've had the experience, either professionally, because you can be paid for the work and still be having someone encroaching on you. But if you're not being paid and it's just a service work, it's something that happens spontaneously in your day, perhaps even with a stranger, you still want to be sure that you are not being drained by that experience of being a space holder. But you will know the difference between being drained by someone else's sharing, or when they've just felt a need. They might, you're looking into someone's face, just another human to human, and you can tell they've just felt a need to share something with you. It doesn't have to be deeply personal, but it's something that's on their mind. And just by being there in that moment and even just saying something, it might be mildly, not even deeply spiritual wisdom, just mildly supportive, but your energy is what they're feeling. You can give them a gift of being able to feel seen, heard, and witnessed. And you will go away from that kind of encounter feeling quite uplifted. It's the human to human connection. You won't feel drained. You won't feel that there's been, a mistake, an error, or that in some way you have to go and clean up your energy field afterward. That's not the kind of space holding that we want to focus on. If you are feeling that that happens to you a lot and that you attract that a lot, I would suggest that probably one of your talents is space holding. You've just got either your training wheels on at the moment, or you're still in the fires of initiation of learning this skill and learning how to make it work for you and not be something that is a burden. So many times I will have written about and I've talked about with clients, I use the term sensitivity as a superpower. It's something I talk about with my work. I want to help people to honor their sensitivity and to find the gifts in that. Because if you are a sensitive being and you pick up on energy, then it means that you have an awareness. So you start to be able to understand that things are vibration, that energy and emotion are real, just as real as the 5D things, the things we can touch and see. And if you can be aware of that, then there is an opportunity for you to positively affect those energies and not have them work against you. So I like to say to people, give yourself a celebration. If you are someone who's very sensitive, maybe you've even been told by people, you're so sensitive, you're too sensitive. There's a reason for it. And part of your path might be having to feel bowed down by it as you learn how to make it work for you. Any kind of skill, you need to apply yourself to it. You need to understand the ins and outs of it. So whenever you're learning something, you basically learn the nuts and bolts of it. If someone's teaching you something, you take the information, you learn the foundations, and then you start to apply it. And then it becomes embodied wisdom and not just head wisdom or book learning. So if you are someone who is sensitive, again, I always say to people, celebrate that because it's a big gift. And as we move into other times on Earth now, it's going to become a currency that is much more understood and welcomed, and obviously deeply, deeply necessary. So using your sensitivity, using your ability to space hold, and you may be asked to do that for people that you know too, friends and family. Again, just leaning into when you can tell that there's been energy exchange where you're uplifted and they're uplifted. And I always say to people, there's nothing that someone could say to me, in session and even in my private life, nothing that would shock me, nothing that makes me want to judge someone. I just have the openness of everybody being able to experience what they need to experience. This is not talking about offensive behavior, but so often we think I'm the only one. People think I'm the only one thinking this, experiencing this, and they make it become a really big burden on themselves, like almost this heavy cloak of, I can't talk about this because it's so shameful. Insert here any word that makes people want to hold back. And the truth is, we all have a lot of similar feelings and emotions. Sure, they might be coming from different reasons, different presenting situations that cause us to feel these ways, but we all have different baselines of fear and worry and self-doubt and you name it. So giving someone the gift of witnessing their truth, and again, I use the word truth, not the way people want to say, I'm just telling the truth, and they're using it like a sledgehammer to, let's face it, be mean. Why is truth being mean? It's ridiculous. I'm talking about someone's vulnerability. So I think that to me, space holding is a deep gift and a privilege. And I always love to offer that. So it's partially a weaving that goes on behind the scenes where I'm connecting with the energies of Earth and the energies of Source and any divine beings who would be wanting to come through are some of my usual guides. But what I find is when you're creating spiritual space for people, and you're accessing that kind of frequency of light, any divine beings can come through. And quite often, they're not the ones I work with myself personally on a daily basis. They're quite often a particular being for that frequency, that energy, that time, the group who's there. Now, when you are a space holder and you are doing it from this pure way where you're not attached to the outcome, you don't expect things for the people who are there. All you expect is a sense of safety and encouragement, really, then you're working a little bit with, and you may have heard me talk about this before or write about this. There's a term that is used in shamanic traditions, and the term is the hollow bone. So it's something that the shaman would seek to do, which is to remove all the parts of them and their thoughts and their feelings. This is when they're engaged in their spiritual work or their channeling. And they want to be able to be such a clear channel that they are connecting the frequency of earth and heaven through a human heart, but their own personality is not trying to direct the healing they're offering, and their own personality is not feeling more important than the other people in the room. They are simply providing a service, and as well as that, it's their purpose. So it makes it easier when you are the space holder or doing that shamanic work. If you can think of the hollow bone, for you to be, it's like you step back, you just hold the space for this energy to come through you and be of use to the people who are in front of you, the group who is there. It's not about you. You're an important part of it. And this is where you need to take care of your own energy and your physical body, which channels spiritual energy, which means it will need certain rest and certain nourishments. but you aren't the you aren't the main event there, and there's something beautiful about being that switch, if you like, that channel for the divine to come through. There's no pressure on you to be something or look like something, but it's very much a sense of being surrendered to the moment and allowing whatever needs to come through. And usually it's not about what you're saying, it's about the energy that is created through your willingness to serve the light and your willingness to allow your heart to take center stage and the personality parts of you just to sit back down a bit while you do this work, this energy holding, whether you're doing it one-to-one or in a group. And as I said, whether you're doing it in a regular, normal, human muggle style job, any kind of job that doesn't have spirituality attached, but you're a spiritual being walking around in your life, you'll be doing space holding, whether it's a regular general meeting or whatever it is. So celebrate that if you enjoy it. And I'm thinking that if you're listening to me talk about this, you've got a curiosity or you know that space holding is something you love. Don't question it. If you have times when you feel a bit burnt out, that is when you'll need to balance your energy and decide, okay, have I just not done enough nourishment of me? Am I just enjoying the service too much and I've forgotten the human part is getting burnt out? But it also is, as I said before, it can be an initiation experience and it can be a time when you are changing the way you do things. So you might be feeling more tired or more drained, but I would suggest to you, especially at this time on Earth, when our gifts are coming online in even different ways and ways that we used to offer our spiritual energy, I would say that, well, I'm certainly finding there's even more of an empowerment to it, which is because there's more frequency of light coming upon Earth and there's more light coming from within Earth, and that is boosting our spiritual energy. It's like there's less of an interference waves than there ever was before. And so we're more, no, not porous, but we're more open and sort of its energy is more tangible and more powerful in those ways. I say less interference, more energy. So be aware that you might be, it's like you've had the sound turned way up on you, or you've had the heat turned up on a dial. You might be feeling a bit perhaps burnt by some of your capabilities of energy holding and space holding, but it doesn't mean it's something you have to give up on. It's just the initiation into higher ways. And the biggest thing with this is that marriage of the body and the soul. So the body is really needing, because all of Earth is shifting and that ascension energy is still moving. And it's a bit like we're in a rocket where the energy, the vibration, the rocket hasn't taken off yet, but there's like so much energy building there and it can cause a bit of tension. So it's a way of allowing our physical body, the cells, the DNA, and everything within is getting more sensitive. We're moving from the old carbon-based structures into more crystalline frequency energetically. We're healing DNA, like it's happening in waves. It's not even stuff you're having to do now. It's about allowing the divine timing of these things to happen. Watch me going on a huge tangent, but just wanting to encourage you, as I say, if you're feeling under the fires a bit and you're feeling that your use of spiritual energy is, things are getting challenging or it's taking a bit more from you, or it's not taking a lot, you do it in the moment and it's amazing, but afterwards you go away and slump. This is not an error. This is just like if you're going to prepare to run a marathon or any kind of, you're going to do a triathlon, it's just about strength training, but energetic strength training. It's about looking after your body and taking the rest when you can. But you are being asked, we are all being asked to step up and into more of what we can do and to work harder and work smarter and not harder with this. So that would be, yeah, my advice. If you're feeling that in a way it's more draining, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means you've got to adjust the way that you prep beforehand for you and the way that you discharge after. And I think you will be surprised by what can come through for you when you make minor adjustments like this. And you can tune into your heart and obviously tune into the divine beings and ask them to show you new ways to take care of your spirit, soul, your body, soul, this divine vehicle that you are. Space holding, as I said before, a huge privilege. And we know that many saints and sages from times gone past, and then amazing divine beings like the Dalai Lama, we know that they do this on a huge level of holding the space for the suffering of others. And so it's a bit like even though we do this in our smaller individual ways, it's a bit like being part of that sacred ecosystem. They are the water catchment areas. Do you know what I mean? These kinds of divine beings. And so any effort that we're making towards space holding, we can almost rely on, as well as the divine beings we might be channeling, but any of the healers, teachers, leaders, spiritual beings who are here now or have been here, we can lean back into that energy. It's the thing I said before when Angela and I were talking about you're walking up the spiral path in the mountain. Everyone's got a candle. There's lights ahead of you. There's lights behind you. We can lean into that support of other spiritual beings and receive sort of a boost to our energy. So be aware that you might be doing it on a smaller scale than one of those divine beings, but it's all the same thing. And it's very important work to do, whether it's in a spiritual group or it's just about allowing a human connection. So work with your sensitivity, with your ability to manage energy, to understand something, what's going on here under the surface, behind the scenes. You can sense things in situations. And, you probably do have a much better idea nowadays of what is your stuff and what is other people's. But you still might think, well, that was intense. I've been out in the world today and that was an intense sort of experience, and you want to clean your energy. But at the same time, you can also be aware that things are going to start getting easier. This will be more of the way things are, more of a in energy, people will start to understand what energy and what frequency really means and what connectivity in a human sense from heart to heart means. So you can sort of celebrate the fact that you might have been here for quite a while, being a sensitive being, with all your filters open and everything coming in at you. But there's no accidents. And so if that has caused you some suffering, I hope that you can find the lesson in that, and also be able to see, how far you will have come on your journey of being a sensitive person in a world that really wasn't built that way and yet needs people like you to care and to have an open heart. So view your sensitivity as a gift and look for opportunities to keep sharing it in this world, because we're at really important points here now, and we are working with the energy of unity consciousness. So more and more people are waking up, lighting up. Their hearts are opening, whether through grief and suffering or even just some beautiful experiences, but more hearts are opening now than ever before. And there's an energy of heart to heart connection. Hearts want to connect with each other. So we are it's like we're starting to put this new network online. Do you know what I mean? A network of human hearts and energy and people power. So if you have people around you or friend groups or whatever, be that positive influence at the moment, especially if people are, stuck in fear. Be the one who, it doesn't have to be lecturing or anything, but be that calming, positive influence that enables people to get out of their own way and to drop into a space of, being grounded. I am here and it is now. I'm not running off into the future in fear, but I'm able to be in this space. I'm able to share my truth with others, and you might be the catalyst for that who's helping them. So give to yourself, hold space for yourself, but never ever feel that you should give up on the way that you are if you're a sensitive person or you're a space holder. If you have a day that felt a bit draining or an experience that felt draining or a particular client, just take that within as like a learning or a lesson. Give it to the divine. Say, what do I need to see about this? But trust that there's a reason for you to be doing this work, this privilege of holding space for people and being that hollow bone. There is nothing more beautiful than being in this space and feeling that energy move through you for the benefit of other people. We don't direct spiritual energy. We don't get attached to outcomes of where it should be. But do we pray? Do we offer light and love? Yes, of course we do. So that's just what I wanted to say about that. I wanted to say, enjoy your prep work, whatever you do prior to space holding and after, and take it seriously. Enjoy the beautiful responsibility of this, because it is something powerful. And I would say that you get to the point where all the preparation you've ever done for space holding, the experiences of it, the before and afters, it becomes to a point where it is already within your heart. So you can access it on the turn of a dime. I just want to say you can access it almost instantly from within your own heart. It's like it pops out into 5D all around you. And this can be very helpful in situations that are immediately stressful, that require someone to not have to do all their drums and feather and rune casting first, that they can, in a moment, be in that space of calm generosity of spirit and wise energy. So just hold that in your heart too. Just think about what it would mean if you can bring your space holding and all the prep and all the experience over the years and years and the prayers and everything, and you could encapsulate it. I can feel my heart space already. It's saying, yes, I can feel that warmth. You could encapsulate that into your heart so that whenever it is needed, in an instant, it's there for you and for other people. Spiritual energy is real. It's intelligent. It's divinely loving and wise. And it's helping us. It's helping us to really start to create through critical mass now of people's hearts awakening to this heaven on earth project, as I like, and many people like to call it. So space holding, it's what I feel that I'm doing here in these episodes, and also what I do in my group work, my private earth works, all the prayer and the work that I do for earth on my own behind the scenes, and my one-to-one sessions. It's space holding to be part of my service work. So if that's something that you like to do too, I hope this has been helpful for you, and celebrate that in you. All right, well, thank you for joining me for another episode of 10,000 Hours and Counting. And may you continue to enjoy your journey as you expand upon whatever are your skills as a spiritual being having a human experience. Bye for now.